What do I mean when I say conversation spiral? Whenever you are walking, standing, just existing, and there's someone else in the room, a lot of people tend to think it's awkward, the silence. It doesn't have to be, but because you're interpreting it as awkward, it will be awkward. Know this, the sum of your internal thoughts is the sum of your internal feelings, which correlate to the sum of your actions. If you have a negative thought, that leads to a negative feeling, which leads to negative action. When you are thinking about starting a conversation, the longer it takes to start that conversation, the less likely you are to do it, in my experience. Most conversations I've had have started within 5 seconds of considering the conversation. Why is that? That is because the brain has a propensity to walk through rationally every outcome possible. Now, as it does this, the outcomes become more and more negative, and you become delusional in your thinking, assuming that the outcome will be negative, when in fact, you have actually no fucking idea of how the interaction will go. By this, I mean, your brain is working against you the longer you take to start a conversation. So how do you tackle this? You tackle this by, like I said, start the conversation quickly. Don't think about what to say, just start the fucking conversation. Open your mouth, breathe out, and light your vocal cords. You will say something. You'll probably say something more astute than you realise without thinking. Okay? The best conversations are when you're not thinking. You're letting the feeling of the conversation drive the direction. Someone says something, you respond without thinking. That's the best response. A spontaneous response is the most respected response. It's the most valued response. The other tactic you can use, which I've found useful, is if you're in this situation and you've managed to think so far down the thought spiral that your thoughts around starting the conversation are so negative, you have to take a leap of faith. What you have to do is you have to look at all these thoughts you've conjured, all these scenarios you've played out, which aren't real, shun them to the side. Now these thoughts are very, very powerful. So when you shun these, you have a split second to start the conversation. This may all sound pre-delusional and, quite frankly, fucking insane. But you know what it's like if you've been in this situation. So what you do is you shun these thoughts, and that opens a window of opportunity. You open your mouth. Before the thoughts can take over your actions again, you open your mouth and start the conversation. Once the conversation has started, the thoughts will vanish because you're so worried about embarrassing yourself that the thoughts won't have any space because you're now interacting with them, which is a good thing because you're focusing on the conversation now, even if it's a conversation which is thought-driven, which are the worst. This will improve your mental health. The more people you speak to, the less bad you feel. You're more likely to be insane or delusional with the less contacts you have. Have frequent contacts. Isolation is dangerous. If you want power, you need to be extremely socially aware, intelligent, and skillful. You need to get to a point where you can act without thinking. Your feelings take over, and you can be certain in the outcome, that you will remain happy, remain confident, and remain unfazed. It may not go well, but as we all know, with confidence, it's not about what happens to you, it's about your reaction of what happens to you. Take it like this. You have one person who is unconfident. You have another person who's very confident. Person A walks into the wrong class. He realizes he's arrived in the wrong class, and he goes, "Oh, am I in the wrong class?" His face blows up red, and he hangs his head and walks out extremely quickly. The confident person, in the exact same situation, he realizes he's in the wrong class. He goes, "Oh, am I in the wrong class?" And then he'll say a quip after, something like, "Oh, this always happens," or "I've done it again," or he'll just take the piss out of himself because he doesn't care. And he walks out with a smile on his face, with other people probably smiling with him, okay? Being laughed at and being laughed with is literally your control. Like, if people are laughing at you, of course it's hard, but you have to learn to take a joke. So if people are laughing at you, try and feign the laugh with them. If you're laughing with them and going along with it, it's a lot easier. If this is a regular occurrence, of course, take alternative measures and do research about it. However, if it's a one-off, just take the piss out of yourself once in a while. Confident people are assured in the fact that they will flourish in any situation put before them. And in fact, the worst situations put before them is where they flourish the most, because that's the opportunity they have to show their confidence the most. Good situations are boring. Anyone can be fine in a good situation. Always remember that. Yeah, that was my thing today, because I had a bit of an issue with it today, with going to a lecture. I know what it is. It's like, I know all the knowledge, but sometimes I'm just in, not a mood, but like my brain and body just isn't really thinking through things through. So these things tend to happen without me consciously making the decision. So yeah, that is all my advice on how to start a conversation, because I know it can be quite hard for some people, but just stay with it. Yeah, that's all I have for today. I may not be uploading for the next few days, but if I do, yeah, it'll be a bonus. Yeah, just like this whole channel. Catch you in the next one.